Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of Locked On Bills presented by Cover One. I'm your host tonight, Aaron Quinn, and the Bills just made the playoffs and ended the drought, ending the 17-year drought of the Buffalo Bills, missing the playoffs. Here we are. I cannot even believe it. I had to actually compose myself to come on the show. My wife's got some video of me actually crying. Not like an infant crying, but a grown man's satisfaction of 17 years of watching his favorite football team miss out on the playoffs. And here we are. We're going to the postseason, guys. So what a day it was. We waited till 4 o'clock for these games. I don't know about you guys, but I was pacing around my house. I couldn't even stand it. Just pacing around my house, waiting for this game to get started. Bills jump out to a nice. I'm in tears, bro, too. Yeah. Awesome, guys. Bills jump out to a nice lead. They're playing great right from the start of the game. I have notes and stuff from the game. I take notes. The people that are watching live can see. I don't even know, man. I'm just too excited to even really go through all the notes. I'm sure this week we'll kind of run down the game here on the Locked On Network. But I just want to talk about how excited I am. I wanted to come on for the fans. We've got a buzzing chat room, which is great because we need to enjoy this, guys. It has been a long, hard road. My wife's only been a Bills fan as long as we've been together. She's kind of a bandwagon fan, but she jumped on about 9 years ago, and she hasn't seen the playoffs, and she was very excited as well. But not sure, as I was going to do the show, she was like, "Are you okay?" And I looked at her and said, "Honey, I'm a grown man with a child, and it has been since I was a freshman in high school since this moment has happened in my life." So I know it's just football to a lot of people, but us Bills fans, man, this is a big deal. And so I'm sure we're going to hear a lot of great stories. We've seen different Twitter accounts putting out, what was your last playoff memory? There's a kid's my next door neighbor's kid has never seen a Bills playoff game. The kid's in college. Or he starts college next year and he's never seen a playoff game. So this is a huge thing for the city of Buffalo, especially in a season where people were saying that this is a tank team. We were arguing that all summer amongst ourselves. Should this team tank? Whether or not they're going to have who's going to be quarterback next year, I really don't care because they are in the playoffs. So I don't even care where they're drafting. I don't care where the Chiefs pick is. I don't care about any of that stuff. The Buffalo Bills are in the playoffs for the first time in 17 years. The drought monkey is off our back. Kyle Williams, Eric Wood, these guys are going to play in a playoff game. We got football in January. So I don't want to hear about the Peterman game. I don't ever want to hear about that again. I don't want to hear about tanking, draft picks. We'll have plenty of time to talk about draft picks, guys. It's going to be a long, long offseason. I am excited. The Bills took care of what they needed to do down in Miami. The game looked like it was going to get close for a little bit. Jordan Poyer seals it off for us. Excuse me. And, it was very similar to the last game against Miami. The Bills came out had a hot start, kind of went real conservative, especially after Shady got hurt. I can understand a little bit more this time why the offense got a little more conservative with Shady McCoy out. I totally get that. That's something that we're definitely going to, after the celebration here is done, we're going to want to talk about Shady because without him, the offense can't do anything. And now we're in the playoffs, guys. The NFL is unlike any other professional sports because it's not a 7-game series. It's not a 5-game series or anything like that. They just got to win another game. And then, then we can keep talking. So they've proven that they can beat some good teams. I'm not saying they're going to win a playoff game, but, a lot of people are saying they're just going to get to the playoffs and get toasted. Beautiful thing about the NFL, guys, is it's any given Sunday. They just got to get here and play. So I'm seeing some stuff in the chat here. We'll get looking over, see what's going on here. The chat box is zooming, guys. I'm sure everybody, a lot of people are going to be up anyway for New Year's Eve. I'm usually in bed by 10 on New Year's Eve, 10:30 tonight. I don't think I'm going to be able to sleep, guys. I am so excited. My energy just jazzed up through the roof. Saw something about Tolbert. Who was that? The chat box is moving faster than I've seen it move in a long time, guys. So this is super exciting. I'm very happy that everybody came out to celebrate in this with us here at Locked On Bills. Somebody had mentioned, I don't know who it was, so can't give you credit because it's moving too fast, but Tolbert after Shady got injured, Tolbert had some nice runs, kept some drives extended, a little bit of a redemption game for him. I know fans have been extremely hard on Tolbert, and most of it's rightfully so. He's struggled this year. Really played some nice football today in spelling, coming in as that third back with Murphy was getting the majority of the carries as the second back while Shady was in, and Tolbert comes in and has a big game when he needs to. But the most important play, I'm not going to talk about a lot of the plays today, but and I might get emotional here, and I apologize to anybody if I do, because I don't want to do this while we're on air, but the most important play of the drought, I think, is the Kyle Williams touchdown. I think it's the greatest play of the entire drought. I think it's the best play of this season. The way the line pushed for him, you could tell that they wanted this for Kyle. I really think that Kyle Williams had a much bigger impact just in his presence on this team than anybody will ever realize, and people getting up to play for this guy. And you could see it in that one small play. He put the line was just, you could see the way they got off the ball. They knew Kyle was getting the ball and they just wanted him to score and have that moment. And then the eruption on the sideline. We saw it once this year with that big catch by Tate. But I don't know, guys, that one got me right in the feels. I was crying right there. I had goosebumps, tears coming down my eyes. That was a special moment for all Buffalo Bills fans. Kyle's given so much to this team for so many years, so selflessly. He's given everything that he could possibly give. I know right now I just got the notification that the Bills press conference is going live. I was going to try to go after the press conference, but I got too excited. I said I got to get in here and go live and get some thoughts out. Yeah, and Ralph, we did it. I mean, this is a huge emotional moment for all fans. This is something that, whatever you believe in, your personal beliefs, Ralph Wilson, if he is looking down, he is a smiling man, knowing that this team finally got that large drought off their back. That's the Kevin, our lead host, said it best. It's the one joke that when you say you're from Buffalo, or people talk about Buffalo, they talk about the playoffs. The boy, I love losing the Super Bowl. But the playoff drought, you guys can't even make the playoffs. Nobody can say that to us anymore for a long time. We're never going to see that graphic again, probably for a long time, because we've made the playoffs, guys. So 1999, we're not going to see that rubbed in our face anymore. Bills are going to the playoffs, matched up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Doug Marrone, how fitting is that the Bills are going to be playing against a Doug Marrone-led team in the playoffs? Pretty cool stuff. It's going to be an interesting matchup. It's definitely something that we're going to break down here all week long on Locked On Bills. We usually do the scouting show. If you're new to the show, I see a lot of people in here. So if you're new to the show and haven't checked us out before, we do a lot of scouting shows. We do crossover shows with the other Locked On Network from the team. So if you're new to the Locked On Network, if you're a sports fan, Locked On Podcast Network, it's a great network. Every team's got a Locked On podcast. They find guys that are passionate like we are about their team, that want to get talking about their team. It's a daily podcast. We try to do somewhere between 3 and 4 podcasts a week to keep you guys updated. So I don't know if anybody, I can't see all the names popping up. I know I see a lot of familiar names here. We do something a little bit different on our network here with the Locked On Bills. We do try to go live on YouTube to have some more fan interaction, which we think is really cool. The show doesn't exist without the fans. And in a moment like this, Kevin and I have come on, and Eric and I and Kevin, all a mix of us, have come on after some really difficult losses this year. That Jets loss was a really tough night to come on and talk to you guys about the Bills. That whole stretch of losses right there in the, November was a really tough time for us to all come on. But then we get this. We get to come on right now when the Bills make the playoffs. So I'm honored. I know a lot of guys had plans tonight. They couldn't do it. And I was a little worried. I'm not going to lie, throughout the day when I turned over the TV and saw Andy Dalton almost throw 2 interceptions. Yeah, right when they turned the TV over to that game, I was saying to my wife, there's no way. This is just, the Bengals are going to out-Bills the Bills and really give it to us here. And then they make a miracle play. And I think I tweeted it out. You can find it on Twitter. I tweeted out, I think Andy Dalton might deserve a spot on the Wall of Fame for helping us end the drought. So seeing right here, somebody says Adam Schefter x-rays on Bills, LaShawn McCoy's ankle were negative. So I did see throughout the game that people were thinking that maybe it was just a sprain, which would be awesome if it's just a sprain. But it depends what type of sprain. I'm no doctor, but I've had some bad sprained ankles. I'm also not a professional athlete, but I've had some very bad sprained ankles playing basketball. And for me, it was about a 4 to 6 week recovery. You might be able to play, but it's definitely going to linger into next week. There's no doubt about that. So it's just a matter of, what if it's a high ankle sprain or just a regular ankle sprain, things like that. That's something that we're going to have to stay posted on. Stay posted on the Locked On Bills Twitter at Locked On Bills. We'll definitely have whatever information that we get. We'll be tweeting out there. Follow Kevin Becerra, myself, Aaron Quinn, 716, obviously Eric Turner, who runs this channel, the Cover One channel. So follow everybody that you can, because we will try to stay posted on every bit of news that comes out. How good is the new running back they just picked up? He looked pretty good today. I don't know that he's good enough to carry the load against the Jacksonville defense, although I haven't seen a lot of Jacksonville games. I'll definitely be digging into that tomorrow morning. Starting to watch some Jacksonville stuff because, I just didn't really know if we'd be in this position, but here we are. And so, yeah, he looked good. I don't know. The Jacksonville defense is one of the top defenses. I had him in fantasy, so I know at least that much, that they put up good points fantasy-wise. So we'll see what happens. He played really well, but I do think Tolbert played really well in spelling a little bit in this game. Obviously, people still hate Tolbert, and they're not going to want to see him touch the ball a lot, but if he can come in and spell a little bit, if LaShawn plays, take a little bit of the load off of him. That'll be nice if he can play like he played in the second half today. We got a Saints fan. Congratulations on making the playoffs, Buffalo Bills. You deserve it. Very much appreciated. My phone started blowing up, so I'm a Bills fan that lived in New England his whole life. I live in Buffalo now, but all my friends are mostly Patriots fans, a few Giants fans. I just know a lot of NFL fans, and my phone's been blowing up. It's still lighting up right here in front of me with just congratulations. You guys deserve this. I don't know a better fan base that deserves this more. So, a lot of people like to pick on the Bills and make fun of the Bills, and the videos of smashing tables don't help. And I'm sure we're going to see a lot of that stuff tonight with New Year's Eve. That stuff's probably going to be out there. But anyway, I digress. People like to make fun of the Bills fans, but I don't think anyone hates us. I think overall people are great, are very happy seeing us make the playoffs and get that, stop being the butt of all the jokes in the NFL. So here we are. Ryan McLean says Bortles looked terrible. I saw that on Twitter that tonight he didn't look good. So people were saying Bortlesing. I saw a hashtag going around, Bortlesing. I mean, that's the key for Jacksonville. We'll break it down a little bit more. Obviously, they have a great running game, but Bortles is a guy that he's either going to be really good or he's going to be good enough, or he's going to be really bad. I don't think he's going to come out and really kill the Bills, especially with this secondary. People were, I'm not going to name names, but there were people from national media outlets this summer that were really targeting the Bills defense as a bad unit. That's not true at all. They definitely do give up yards. They even did it today. But they are bend but don't break unit, and some really great defenses, including our arch nemesis, the Patriots, have been built on that style of defense of bend but don't break, give up yards but don't give up touchdowns. The Bills have done that. You saw that with Hyde saving a play on a touchdown. Hyde and Porter have done that all season long. Our defense right now is really built around those defensive backs. But you saw people, the national media, saying that was a really bad unit. The whole defense was, but that the defensive backs was a bad unit, and that's the best unit on the entire team. Poyer and Hyde have made such a difference to this team. You don't see a lot of big plays. The only really giant, you saw a couple in that San Diego game. That was a weird game, and obviously the AJ Green touchdown was a big play. But outside of that, it hasn't been like in the previous years where the Bills gave up a lot of big plays, and a lot of that's going to be on your safeties, communication from the safeties and the other defensive backs. Here, we'll go through some of the stuff from the game today. I got a little bit of the emotion of the playoff drought being lifted out of me. We're seeing a lot of love for Kyle Williams right now. And I'm so happy for him that they won this game for Kyle and that he gets to play in January football. The guy's for sure ending up on the Wall of Fame, and I can't wait to be there for that ceremony when he does end up on the Wall of Fame. He has given everything to this team, and fans should just be really thankful for how mediocre this team has been for this long. That guy has just stood. You never heard him say anything negative. You never heard of him turn in the locker room or anything like that. He was just steadfast and giving the city and this team everything that he's got. So hats off to Kyle Williams, and I'm so happy for him right now, going into this. But back to the game, like I said, the Bills started out fast. One of the best players I thought of the game, and one of the biggest differences in this game. Somebody's asking, is McCoy out for the rest of the year? We don't believe so. We'll see, though. It's an ankle sprain, so that could be something that he could miss the next game, and then yes, that's the rest of the year. I mean, the playoffs are one and done, so we're not sure. We'll probably find out more about that Monday or Tuesday as the week goes on here, but back to the game here. Sorry, a little distracted. EJ Gaines came out in that first drive and had a really nice play. I know a lot of fans want to see that ball get intercepted, but when you look back at it, that play that he made was unbelievable. The athleticism that he showed to get into position and snag that, almost snag that play for an interception. So check that out. It ended Jay Cutler's day because then they put in Fails, which he actually played all right. I mean, obviously he made some bad throws that you expect from a guy playing his first start, but he played pretty decent. I mean, if I'm a Miami fan, I'm not totally disappointed that my third string quarterback looked okay and able to come in and play and keep a competitive game going. On that second drive, Hughes missed a sack, and that was something that kind of happened out throughout the game. That's something I want to get Eric's point of view on later in the week, so we'll have to tweet at Eric and see if he can get some videos of what was happening there with Jerry Hughes. He was definitely getting some quarterback pressures, but just could not seem to get guys wrapped up and make the big plays when we needed, and a couple of them ended up converting for first downs, which really kills you when you have a guy, it's a 3rd and long or 4th and long or whatever, because they were going for it obviously a few times on 4th. And for Jerry to miss those sacks really hurt. That's something we're not going to be able to get away with in playoff games. So Jerry's, you got to wrap the guy out, man. But definitely was able to get a little more pressure on the quarterback this week. Obviously, Tunzel's out, so that helps being able to get pressure, obviously, when you're missing your best offensive lineman. But the Dolphins, what scared me early in that game was it was obviously they were going for enough 4th down. I hate playing against a team that has absolutely nothing to lose. That is a terrible feeling. So, but the Bills jumped out early, man. They were scoring points, having to go their way, 10-0. Went into the half 10-0. What do we got here? More stuff. Yeah, we go into the half 10-0. I'm a little worried, right? Because the Bills had a decent lead, a bigger lead in the last Miami game. And this is what they've been doing here the last month of football is they've been able to get out to a little bit of a lead, and then they come out of the half and they just don't play well. Not only that, McCoy gets carted off, obviously, in the first drive of the first half there. My heart sinks. You're starting to see, I think the Ravens scored to draw it within 7 on that while that was going on. So my anxiety is ramping up. Here we go. Everything's about to fall apart. My whole night's going to be, I'm going to have to go talk to these guys about how sad I am. Anyways, we end up getting a field goal on that drive, go up 13-0. So I'm thinking it's all right. Usually they fall apart in the second half. They did start to fall apart a little bit, guys. Again, something to be concerned about, even though, I don't want to talk about the negatives right now because we are going in to the playoffs, but still something to be concerned about. That second half adjustments. They allowed Miami to come back into that game. They went very soft on defense, allowed them to kind of just move down the field. Obviously, they took a lot of time off the clock. And then let's see here. The one thing I really want to talk about here before we get back into the playoffs is, they were driving. Bills were up 22-3. Miami's driving down. It looked like maybe Jarvis Landry fumbled, and there was a 99-yard return. That gets overturned. And then a play later, 2 plays later, was the Jarvis Landry touchdown, which ended up turning into a little bit of a brawl on the field. And, I just want to take a second to say that there's really no place in the NFL for the antics that Jarvis Landry has been committing for the last few years. As a Bills fan, maybe I'm a little oversensitive to it because of the hit on Aaron Williams a few years ago. But last game I saw it again too, just extra stuff after the play. Whenever I see the Dolphins playing, he's always doing a little extra. I saw a clip go out the other day of Revis. He was tangled up with Revis and he was grabbing his wrist and trying to snap it back. No place in the NFL for that type of stuff. I don't see how they can let him do that with all the video that's out there and the GIFs and the tweets and stuff like that. And then he goes up and bumps Poyer right in the face, right in front of the ref, starts a little bit of a fight. Drake gets involved. The Bills get involved. Helmets get thrown. Really just a scene that doesn't need to have any place in football. The Dolphins weren't playing for anything at that point, I guess, other than pride. So, yeah, and somebody saying Kiko's a dirty player too. Yeah, Kiko's hit on Zay Jones was unnecessary, and he's been like that for a while. Sue's a dirty player too, so I don't know if it's a culture thing right now in Miami or not. But the NFL really needs to do something about that. If they care about player safety the way that they talk about caring about player safety, you cannot have players doing things after the whistle like that. You cannot have players crack back blocking guys like he did Aaron Williams. You can't have guys wrenching on people's wrists. So I hope that the NFL does something. I know it's the end of the season. I would like to see Landry get suspended going into next season for a couple of games because those I just don't see a place for that type of behavior in the NFL. I don't think it's good for the game. I don't think it's good for the product, and it's definitely not good for player safety. And if somebody's asking Kenyon Drake, what the heck was that? Yeah, Drake lost his mind. I don't know what happened there. I don't think he has really a history of any of that stuff, so I don't expect much punishment out of him, but he lost his mind. Obviously, he's in an emotional position. He's being held back down on the ground by Ryan Davis, getting punched. But that whole thing got out of control. And really when the dust settled and when the dust settled and everything's done, I thought that was a bad thing for the Bills because that kind of killed any, it took a little bit for them to get going again, and Miami was able to kind of get back in the game. So got a guy in the chat here saying, I'm from Baltimore. My boys kill me because I'm a huge Bills fan. Man, I lived in New England for my entire life. I was born in Connecticut and moved to Maine as a freshman. And that freshman year was the last time the Bills won a playoff game. So I've been surrounded by New England Patriots fans my whole life. And being in the division with the Patriots run that they've had since 99, I feel you, dude. I feel you, William. Everybody I know kills me. I'm the lovable loser of that group of friends. And, here we are, though. We're not the losers now. We're in the playoffs. We're right there with the Patriots in the postseason. And they can't take that away from us, guys. We are in the postseason. It's going into 2018 tomorrow. The Buffalo Bills have ended the drought. That feels so good to say. If you're watching live, say it. Just say it out loud. The Bills have ended the drought. They're going to the playoffs. The process has been officially trusted. Sean McDermott, his first year as head coach, has a winning record, has his team in the playoffs. Terry Pagula has been able to get this team in the direction. Yeah, everybody's going, yay, in the chat. Yeah, man. Enjoy it, guys. Celebrate it because who knows what's going to happen next week? And really, who cares? We're in the playoffs. This is, I've said all along on this show, even if they didn't make the playoffs, that if they had a winning record, if they were a 9-win team, it missed out on the playoffs, that I thought that was a success because everyone was saying this is a 4-win team. This is a tank team. It's not. It's a good team. It's a competitive football team. They definitely made some bad decisions throughout the year, and we've talked about a lot of that stuff. Ad nauseum, we've talked about the different decisions they've made and how they got to the position they were where they needed other teams. But at the end of the day, they were there. They were within striking distance, and now they are in the playoffs going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. So we'll take any questions. I don't know if anybody's got any questions in the chat box or if we just want to kind of celebrate the victory. But if you have any questions, get them out there on the chat box because I'm going to wrap this up in a little bit here so that everybody can get back to celebrating. So I can get back to celebrating and maybe back to crying a little bit. I'm going to have to find that video my wife has of me crying right after victory and delete that off her phone because I don't want that getting out to everybody. Somebody says, thank God they started Fails. Well, they started Cutler. Cutler played that first series, and then they did go with Fails the remainder of the game, which was weird. I don't know if Cutler maybe had some type of incentive contract-wise to get the start, but it seemed weird that they just let him do that one drive and then brought Fails in. It seemed like that was maybe their plan all along. Aaron Quinn, my drink of choice tonight. Man, I got a fridge. I'm a big beer snob, and I got a fridge full of some delicious beers. So I'm just gonna go look through there. I think I got it's called the Canadian Breakfast Stout by Founders, and I've been saving it for a special occasion. And I think that tonight is probably the biggest special occasion that I'm gonna have this year. So, the year is only a few hours left, but you know what I mean. So I might crack that bad boy open and drink that. What are you guys gonna be drinking tonight? What's the celebration for you guys over there? Meg asks, so what's up with Brandon Riley? I think a lot of fans love Brandon Riley, and I liked what he showed in the preseason. But the fact is, he's a practice squad guy. He didn't, when they released him this summer, they were able to bring him right back. So it showed that maybe he belongs on the practice squad right now. I think he's got a lot of potential. I think he showed that in the preseason. But the team obviously doesn't see him as a guy that can contribute on special teams enough to warrant a roster spot in a big game. So I wouldn't expect to see Brandon Riley activated for the playoffs at all. And I think he's just got some development to go, but I do think he has the prospects to be a really good NFL receiver at some point. But I do think he's going to have to step up his special teams game if he wants to see this, be somebody that's irreplaceable and get a roster spot. So he's a practice squad guy. And Rob Quinn and I've chatted about it, and Kevin's talked about it. Malachi Dupree's another guy with maybe a little bit more upside than Brandon Riley, who's sitting on the practice squad as well. So expect for those guys to develop all off season and maybe get their shot. But I'm not worried about Brandon Riley not being activated for any of the games this year. I'd like that he's developing, and I think he's in good hands. Let's see here. I'm drinking my process tonight. Yes, we're all drinking lots of process. Champagne is starting early tonight. Good for you. Yeah, I hope people enjoy it. I hope people are being safe. I don't want to see any videos of cracked tables on New Year's Eve. Just enjoy this evening. We deserve it. All the heartbreak of 17 years, just I was thinking about it today. I was shoveling my driveway, my flag's up in front of my house, and I've been pulling that flag down in November and in early December for so long. And I was looking at that flag thinking, man, I really hope I don't have to pull that thing down tonight. I'd love to fly that flag into January, and I'm not pulling that flag down this week, guys. That flag's staying up. And that's pretty cool. So enjoy it. Enjoy, going into the new year. It's a new team. Not to play on the stadium name, but it's a new era in Buffalo, and it really is. We have a really good up-and-coming young coach. He's made a lot of mistakes throughout the year, and we've picked that apart on Twitter. But that's okay. He's going to make mistakes as a rookie head coach. It's his first time doing it. I think he's a really detail-oriented guy. I think he learns from his mistakes. I think he's going to take this whole offseason and go back all those different mistakes he made and reach out to other guys and talk about the stuff that he's done. So, yeah, people say we made it. Whiskey and cigars tonight. Can we have 17 streams this week? I don't know, man. I'm a stay-at-home dad, so I've limited time to do streams, and I think the other guys all have full-time jobs. But we are going to definitely give you a lot of content this week. I wouldn't be surprised if we get some of the guys to come on either tomorrow or Tuesday, and then Nate, Dan, or myself will probably do a scouting show on the Jaguars here at some point this week. And then we'll do the crossover show as well. Kevin usually mans the crossover show, and that's with one of the guys from the Locked On Network. Again, Locked On Sports Network. If you're not following us, go find us on iTunes. Subscribe to the Locked On podcast. It's Locked On Bills. Find us on Twitter at Locked On Bills. And if you like other sports and stuff, there's all kinds of Locked On for any team that you can think of. Locked On Sports Network. It's a great network full of guys that are just as passionate about us as we are about our team, that they are about theirs. And those crossover shows are really great. If you don't get a chance to watch them or to listen to those yet this year, look out for it this week. Like I said, we do it with the guy from the opposing team's Locked On podcast. And they have a ton of knowledge on their team that we just don't have. And they ask us questions about the Bills matchups and kind of talk it through. And it's a great podcast, and we try to do it every single week. Something definitely look forward to here this week. Dude, God just answered my prayer. Told him I'd buy 3 brand new coats for homeless. You better do it, man. Don't mess with the big guy. Better go do it. WGR, just trusting the process. Yeah, I think the process has been trusted. I think if you don't trust McDermott and the culture change on this team, then you're missing the boat, man, because things have changed. Chris Brown from BuffaloBills.com talked about it today on WGR, saying that they asked him kind of what are the changes this year, and he said he's never seen a team where so many guys stay after practice. He said up to 40 guys stay after practice, almost every single practice, working on their game. He said in 20 years that he's been covering this team that he's never seen that before. That's crazy to me. I would think that the guys would be staying after practice all the time, but he said that it's McDermott and the energy that he's instilled in this team, and the drive that he's given these guys. It's pretty amazing. So definitely the culture is changing, and it shows up in the fact that they, in his first year, they've been able to get into the playoffs. I can't believe I'm saying it again. Congrats from Toronto making the playoffs. Thank you. Our neighbors to the north, we appreciate that. We had a bunch of games during the drought up in Toronto, and here we are now going to the playoffs. The drought's over, guys. So with that said, I am going to sign off here. I really appreciate you guys all coming out. And while we're ending the 2017 year here and the regular season, I do want to take a second to thank everybody who watches our show, retweets our stuff, comes on for the live or downloads it on iTunes. It's super cool of you guys. We can't have the show without you guys. There's no point in me just getting on talking to myself. So really appreciate everybody that has come on and supported the Locked On Bills Network and Cover One all season long. We're really excited about the content that we're going to be pushing out here this offseason. Eric's going to be at the Senior Bowl too, coming up. So stay tuned. We're going to have a ton this week for the playoffs. We're going to be on here talking about the Jaguars matchup. So stay locked on Locked On, and we'll be putting out as much content as we can for you guys, and we really appreciate it. So for the Locked On podcast presented by Cover One, I'm Aaron Quinn. You can find me at Aaron Quinn 716. Thank you so much for coming on, guys. Go Bills.